I have Pro Tools open. I want to make a new session now. Let's go to here. We have all our presets set up. We're going to go to new session. And you press Command N for that. And here we've got options, session parameters. We have wave. I'm going to use wave. We have a sample rate. I'm going to keep it low at 44.1. That way the files aren't so big. If I select 96, they're going to be huge files. Double the size of this 44, more than double actually. And my bit rate, or bit depth, is going to be 24-bit. I'm going to use the same last I/O settings. We'll cover more of that later on in the future videos for this series. I'll press OK now. And what Pro Tools does here, they're asking you, where do you want to save this session? And what you should always do is have all your sessions on a separate hard drive. So I'll go here, I have my separate hard drive. I've got my Pro Tools sessions right there. And I'll just name this session, and we'll just call it Demo. Okay. And now it makes a brand new session. But look, it's empty. Nothing's in this session. We got to get busy. So we're in mixing, so it's the mixing side of it, and we're in music, so we want to put some tracks up. So we'll go hit a track in the menu and go to new, right? And that's normally going to be our Shift Command N, and we get this new track box here, right? And we have some options. We can create tracks, more than one, so we can have a number of tracks created at the same time. We also have an option for it to be stereo or mono. This is mono. I click here. I can go to stereo if I want. An audio track, or I can have an auxiliary track, or a master fader, or a MIDI track, and an instrument track. We can have samples or ticks, and a plus sign here to add more. We'll make it simple. We'll have a mono audio sample. Let's press create. And once we do, you notice we have this track right here in our mixing area. And up to the left here in our track list, we have our tracks. It's already selected. Audio 1. You know, it's an audio track. We see right down here our automatic delay compensation, if we need it, would appear here. Right? We see the voice selector here, a fader, solo, mute, record, our panning, and we have sends and inserts. Let's make a new track. Use my keyboard command, and now we're going to make a stereo track. Make one, I'll make two. So now we made two tracks. See, that's pretty simple. Let's go on again. Let's make some more tracks. We're going to need an auxiliary track. So let's go here. We'll keep it stereo. And we're going to make it an auxiliary track. So an auxiliary track is like a routing track. I can send signals in and send signals out of it. Okay? So it's not actually a track I'm going to create music for or put music on, but I can route the signals of those sounds throughout my mixing board. It'll be in terms of samples, that way the audio goes through. Okay? So we'll press create, and that's there. Now, let's go in and create more than one track. We'll go here, we'll select stereo. Next, we'll select our master fader. So master fader right there. And we're going to select samples, because we are working within the audio part of our mixing session here. And so we'll select samples. But I want to select more than one track. I'll go to here. I want to select a MIDI track. So here, we go to MIDI, and notice something. It's no longer mono or stereo. It's just MIDI. It's just MIDI information going through, all right? It's not in terms of samples, it's in terms of clicks and ticks. So here's the ticks right here. It's tick-based, so it's time-based. Great. Now, let's add another one. We're going to do the last option we have here, which is our instrument track. Now, an instrument track is somewhat like a MIDI track. It's two things. It's a MIDI track, and it's an auxiliary track, an aux track input. And so it can be stereo or mono. Because let's suppose I have a piano plug-in, and I put it on the track, I can play that piano with a MIDI controller. That piano plug-in will be in the Pro Tools and may go out in stereo. I want to hear that audio back. But I do want to play it via MIDI through the MIDI controlling keyboard. terms of ticks. And also, you see right here, I can shift, I can go more up here and say, well, I'll put that one right there. See that? You can shift. If you just want to see the tracks you're building and say, okay, I got these tracks here, you can move them around and see which options you want one to be before the other one or one behind the other one. You'll see that here in the session file. Right here, when you have this new tracks dialog box open, you can select where those tracks will be when you make them up. I'll select create, and now they're created right here. Now there's another option you can use if you want to create tracks. You can go right here into my mixer window. I'll double click. I made a new track. I'll go here to my track list. To the left, I made a new track. Now obviously, as you can see, it makes a new track of the last track I created. So if I create an instrument track and I double click, it'll create an instrument track. If I did a fader, it will do that too. Let's go to the edit window. I'm gonna go to the bottom here, and a little space right here. Let me double click here. I made a new track there also. So these are the ways we can make new tracks in our session.